Hello, welcome back to another episode of Plat'n. Today we have Verneroz. I'm going to call you Vern because there are some letters and numbers in there. Not entirely sure if I got the name correct, but this account it's something. It's certainly something. 647 Platinum trophies for a completion rate of 99.99%, which is crazy. There is one game on this list not complete, and as of right now, you're only a couple trophies away from that platinum. I was actually waiting to see if you would get it by the time I recorded today, but let's dive into this list because there is some good stuff here. Alrighty, and to kickstart the list, we have 112 seed, which is a nice, easy peasy to roll us in. 2064 read-only memories, visual novel game that I think has sort of been a main staple of the series right the way through. I think a lot of accounts have had that game feature on them at this point. We then have 88 heroes, followed by 9 monkeys of Shaolin, which I think is like a beat 'em up of sorts. 99 Vitas, juicy ultra rare, first ultra rare of the list. 8 out of 10 difficulty. It's a tricky one for sure. A Hat in Time with the 100% is always impressive for me to see. I always do like that one because the platinum's fairly straightforward. It's kind of just like a collectathon, sort of Super Mario 64-esque sort of game, but the DLC is actually genuinely pretty hard, hence the difference between those two stats right there. We then have a Plague Tale Innocence, no Requiem, not too surprised there. I am curious if you do plan on cleaning the sequel up at some point, Vern. But we then have a Tale of Paper. I actually really like a Tale of Paper. It's super easy. You can smash this game out in literally an hour and a half, as you can see there. But it's a really good game. It's a Little Nightmares sort of clone. Definitely a lot more simplistic than Little Nightmares, but fun, enjoyable, one I would definitely recommend. Air Memories of Old is followed by Agent A, a puzzle in disguise, is followed by a game that I don't think we've ever seen on this series, Agony. I know that the PS4 version, I believe, I've got to try and think back to my PlayStation knowledge. I think the PS4 version of this, it runs really badly unless you have like a launch PS4, and then it runs okay, because I know there's a lot of speed runs and stuff like that, which is outside of the game just kind of being pretty mediocre at best, a good reason why it is a 2.38% ultra rare. And so if you have like a PS4 Pro or a PS5 or something, I think it's to do with how they process things. They're too good for what the game runs on, and so it just doesn't perform very well. So it is impressive, Vern, that you do have this platinum trophy here. Alan Wake's 100%, always love to see that, of course. We then have Alkahine's Gun, followed by Alice Madness Returns, GC 100%. I mean, they're all going to be the 100%. This account is a 100% account. We then have Alien Isolation. You know I love to see that. I'm curious if we're going to see Assassin's Creeds. I feel like I have a hunch that I might be hurt with the Assassin's Creeds. But Alien Isolation, fantastic one right there. I know they've just recently released like a VR sort of game in the same style as Isolation. I am tempted to get a VR headset and give that a try at some point. Alien Nation is followed by Alpha Protocol, which, you know, if you don't have a soft spot for Alpha Protocol, it's a spy RPG that's really mid at best, but it oozes janky charm at the end of the day. Alteric is followed by Amazing Princess Sarah, is followed by American Fugitive. Who are they running from? Who is the American Fugitive running from? That's what I want to know. Amnesia Collection, it's funny, last week in Emerson's Plat'n, I was talking about how I very rarely see the 100% for this due to the DLC trophy that released several years after the game itself, literally just dropping a difficulty trophy. So it's nice to see 2 weeks in a row we have that 100%. Amnesia Rebirth, it's kind of the forgotten Amnesia of the 4, I guess. I would say that Amnesia 1, phenomenal game. Machine for Pigs, not great, did a lot of damage to sort of the name of the series. Rebirth, everyone sort of it just kind of came and went. And then of course Bunker was a definite revival for the series for sure. So it is nice to see that you've also polished that one off there. Anthem, are you okay? Apotheon side-scroller set in a really unique art style. It sort of depicts, I'm trying to think of the name of the pottery and stuff. All I can think is ambrosia, and that's not what it is. But Greek pottery, ancient Greek pottery is sort of set in that sort of art style, which is really, really cool, really unique. It's another one I'd like to get done myself again at some point. Aspelov, End of Gods, this is the first time I've ever seen that game, followed by Aragami, a little bit of arcade series here with Dig Dug, Galaga, and Pac-Man, the usual suspects. Arcania is an RPG, followed by Arietta of Spirits. Ark Survival Evolved, use those dev commands, I know, I'm on to you. We then have Armello, followed by... Yeah, I thought, Vern, I thought that this might happen. I thought that you might hurt me here. There's no Assassin's Creeds. Where are they? There's like 1 million of them. You could have got one. We got 600 platinums in here, and you could have got one Assassin's Creed for me. That hurts. That hurts. You're no longer getting a Christmas card from me. But we then have Armello, followed by Ashen. Ashen is by far one of the most divided, it's probably the most divided I've been regarding a Souls-like ever. It's a good game. It's a good game, but it has so many flaws. The co-op system is terrible. The absolute need to have every enemy hiding behind a corner just waiting to smack you. I found the level design to be pretty mid. And then that DLC, the one that you've got done, is rough. It's really, really rough. It's a difficulty jump for sure. So I am impressed to see that not only do you have it, but you smashed it out in less than 5 days. That's really cool. Astro's Playroom, it's a guarantee for anyone with a PS5 console. Azura's Wrath, followed by Atom RPG. Away the Survival series. I assume that's some sort of survival game. I'm surprised I've never heard of that, to be honest. The Awesome P is really, really awesome. Awesome enough to get 3 games here. That's impressive. Axiom Verge 2. This is kind of like a oh, what do you call them? Like a Metroidvania. I remember this one being really bugged on launch, I think especially on the PS5 version, but I think it is largely patched now. We then have Baldur's Gate with the first 2 games and a expansion here, all absolute gems of the RPG genre from the early 2000s and late 1990s. Bastion, the same devs as Hades, but I think this one's got a really banging soundtrack from memory. Batman the Telltale series, it's the first of the Telltale games. It's the only Batman game here. I am kind of surprised by that, to be honest. We then have a bit of Battlefield with Battlefield 1, Battlefield 2042, and Battlefield 5. 2 of these are good games. Battlefield 1, fantastic game, decent campaign, really fun setting. We don't see a lot of World War I. Really, really like that one. Battlefield 5 is good. I like Battlefield 5. I think its biggest thing is I think the gameplay in Battlefield 5 is a lot better than Battlefield 1. I think the gameplay is a lot more fun, but the actual setting and the campaign especially is a big step back. And then 2042, I like to pretend this one just does not exist. It's really not good, especially that quarantine mode is really, really not good. We then have Beast Quest, followed by Bee Simulator. That's 2 weeks in a row the Bee Simulator's made an appearance. We then have Beholder and Beholder 2, followed by Beyond Two Souls, David Cage game. Biomutant's an interesting one here. I found Biomutant to be a really interesting concept that got absolutely stuck in development hell and never fully recovered. We then have the Bioshock trilogy, all at 100%. I love to see that. Of course, the first 2 Bioshocks, amazing games. Infinite's okay. I've never been one to be big on the whole Infinite hype. And then of course the DLC for Infinite is also really mid. I really didn't like them. I know a lot of people love Burial at Sea, but personally for me, I was never a massive fan of them. I also apologize if my voice is a little off. I'm on the sort of recovery side of a cold, so hopefully I'm not sounding too scuffed in this one. We then have, where are we up to? Blackwood Crossing. There's a lot of games on this list. Blackwood Crossing is followed by Blasphemous. Really fun. Metroidvania again. I always loved that one of the things I did with my second playthrough is I worked out that I could take kind of a back route to get to the door in under an hour, and I felt really big-brained about that. Blood Waves is followed by Bloodborne, is followed by Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, that's a game I really need to try at some point, Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. We then have some Borderlands here with the main trilogy and then the pre-sequel, all 100% of course. I love seeing all of these because these are big commitments here. Borderlands they're grindy platinums, and then they've always, of course, got quite a lot of DLC as well. And in the case of some of these games, those DLCs are really good, and in some of the other ones, they're really mid. And in the case of pre-sequel, they're better than the base game. Bound by Flame, Juicy Ultra Rare, followed by Bridge Constructor, Broken Age. This is another one I think I got on Humble Bundle recently, so I do need to give that one a try myself at some point soon. Bug Fables, turn-based sort of RPG, really fun game. Bit tricky, I believe. I believe there's some sort of like difficulty spikes that can be a bit tricky at times, but this is another one I really need to get my hands on. I need to add that to my Steam wishlist at some point very soon. We then have Bugsnax. It's Bugsnax, fantastic game. I will always plug Bugsnax. Bunga. We then have Bully. It's one of Rockstar's best games. I really wish that they would show this series more love. Bunny Raiders, it's a free-to-play game. It's relatively easy. You can smash it out in, as you can see, an hour and a half. Berlin at Sea, I think this is the game that's featured the most on Plat'n at this point. I don't really know too much about Berlin. Oh, well, actually, I do. I've got this Platinum twice. It's just it's okay. The game that I meant to say I don't know much about is Butcher. I think it's, I'm not even going to say I know what Butcher is. I just know that it is a Juicy Ultra Rare of 3.74%. We then have Call of Cthulhu, really fun game. Came out around the same time as The Sinking City. It's Lovecraftian based. It's very Shadows of Innsmouth, Call of Cthulhu, obviously. Kind of a blend of all those sorts of things. You're a detective going to a mysterious island to solve a crime, and, you know, you sort of go into sort of some culty stuff, some tentacly stuff. It's all good fun. We then have some Call of Duty here with the original Modern Warfare and Modern Warfare 2 remasters. They're gems. Vern's got class. We then have Candle, the Power to the Flame. This is another kind of like Little Nightmares-y sort of style game. A lot of your collectibles and checkpoints are little candles that you can ignite, which is very fun. Carrion is another Metroidvania where you play as a blob that grows by consuming everything around it. Really fun, really quick as well, as you can see, in under 5 hours. Another one I'd really recommend. I think this has been or is on Plus. Castle Crashers is followed by the first 2 cat quests. I'm curious, Vern, if you're just waiting for the third one to be part of PS Plus at some point, because I do know the first 2 have been at various points. Talking of cats, we have Cat Lateral Damage. You play as a cat, trying to damage as much stuff as you possibly can. Celeste in a day and 2 hours is very quick. I am curious if you used the assist mode for that. This game is very difficult. We then have Chasm, followed by Children of Morta. Chivalry 2, really fun game, really terrible trophy list. The trophies in Chivalry 2 are very glitchy. They love to bug on you at all times and reset your progress. And pretty much the entire trophy list is beating each map or getting a win on each map 25 times, getting 2,000 kills. And so, you know, if one of those wins takes 15, 20 minutes and you're 12 of them in and your stats reset, it's a really sad time. Cronus Before the Ashes is a prequel to the Remnant duology. It's a relatively good game. It's kind of fairly limited, but I always enjoyed it. Circus Electrique is a turn-based, I guess, RPG, is what I would say it is. Juicy Ultra Rare, I believe this is the first time we've seen this game on Plat'n. Claire is followed by Clid the Snail, a Artifacts Mundi game here in Clockwork Tales of Class and Inc. We don't see too much Artifacts Mundi on the PlayStation lists on Plat'n. We then have Cloudpunk. I really liked Cloudpunk. This is a voxel-based open world game where you are a taxi/delivery driver. The only real difficult things on this trophy list are the speed run-ish trophies. A couple of the missions are timed, and you have to beat those times for the trophies. Code Vein is followed by Color Guardians. Conan Exiles 100% is always nice to see. I love to see Control. That's a game I plan on redoing very, very soon. The Crash Bandicoot trilogy is next. Full 100%, always juicy. Crimson Keep, is followed by Crossing Souls, Crown Trick, and then the Crisis trilogy, which on console are very, very buggy. It's one of those trilogies where I like Crisis, but I hate actually playing Crisis. This trilogy is always one of those ones where I really like the idea and I really like thinking back on it. But then I sit down and actually play it, and I think the second one's probably the best of the three. In terms of, I guess the third one's probably the best in terms of gameplay. But it's an interesting series for me in that I like it without loving it, if that makes sense. We then have Crystal Rift, followed by Dandara, some Danger Scavenger here, all juicy, all rare, Crystal Rift being an ultra rare, of course. Dark Cloud and Dark Cloud 2 are classic PS2 RPGs. We then have the Dark Souls trilogy, making that 2 weeks in a row that we've successfully had all of the Dark Souls games covered, which is nice to see. Darker Skies, really fun indie horror game. It's the sequel to a game I believe called Grayer Skies. I own both. I've only ever played Grey Skies, but actually that's a lie. I have played Darker Skies. I just never did the Platinum, even though the Platinum is less than 2 hours. We then have the Darksiders quadrilogy here with the first game, Genesis 2 and 3, all 100%, all of them being very different styles of games as well. Darksiders 1, very kind of like Zelda-y. Darksiders Genesis is very Diablo. Darksiders 2 is Skyrim. And then Darksiders 3 is obviously Dark Souls. We then have Day of the Tentacle, followed by Days Gone's 100%, which is another really impressive one just based on those DLCs not being very good. I don't know why you would put an arcadey challenge mode in a game like Days Gone, but for me personally, it just didn't really work. So it is nice to see that you got it done, and you got it done quickly in a week. The Blob and The Blob 2 are followed by the Dead Islands, where we have the full trilogy again. Always love to see these, especially the first two, just because they have those big like 4-player trophies. 4-player trophies, the arena stuff. So it is cool to see these have been done. These are more that I kind of really want to do on PC at some point soon. Deadlight Director's Cut is next, followed by Death's Door, which is an amazing little game. I highly, highly recommend this one. Death's Gambit, followed by Deep Ones, Deliver Us the Moon. No Deliver Us Mars at this stage. I think it is on PS Plus. So that might be one, Vern, that you do want to polish off at some point. Demon Pit is followed by the PS3 version of Demon Souls. Always love to see that. Followed by Descenders, which is a really difficult biking game, kind of like Trials Fusion and stuff like that. I do always really like to see that when it's on a list. I think we've only ever seen it the once on Plat'n that. We then have Desert Child. If you see me looking up to it's because I've got the OBS recordings above the monitor that I'm looking at, so I've got to make sure that you guys are actually seeing the games that I'm seeing, because it's a little it is a little misaligned. Destroy All Humans 2 here is on the middle of my screen and at the top of your screen, so sort of got to balance that a bit. But we have Destroy All Humans 2 followed by Clone Carnage, which is the weird multiplayer spin-off, and then the first Destroy All Humans remake as well. None of the original 2 games, or of course the Wii one, because it's obviously not on PlayStation. But fun fact, Destroy All Humans 3 exists, and it was on the Wii. We then have the Detroit Become All Human. I found that game very rough to get through personally. Interesting story the first time. Didn't need to play that 3 times. We then have the Deus Ex games with Revolution and Mankind Divided. This is another series that I've actually just recently installed on my PC. Not really played too much of Deus Ex, so I'm looking forward to dabbling into that myself at some point. Diablo 2 Resurrected, that's impressive. That's an impressive platinum right there. Congratulations, Vern. That's a good one. I am curious whether you did it online or offline, because I think surely you had to have done that online. I mean, 999 hours a month does not make. So I am curious how you did tackle that platinum trophy, and where you sit on the speedrunners, because that's really impressive. We then have Diablo 3 Reapers of Souls. Always love to see that 100%. Followed by Dirt 5 and Dirt Showdown. Dirt Showdown obviously being significantly rarer than Dirt 5. Disco Elysium, really fun sort of crime simulator, I guess. I don't know how I would describe it. Isometric RPG maybe. Really, really fun game. I always found the ending of it to be a bit of a letdown personally, but I do like that you have to do a couple of playthroughs that are a little bit different to one another. I do find that pretty cool. We then roll into the Dishonored series here with all 3 games. Always love to see Dishonored 100% because some of those DLC trophies like Backyard Alley Brawl, I think it's called from memory, are really, really annoying. I think it's Backyard Alley Brawl and the one where you got to get a bunch of headshots that really sucked. They definitely take quite a lot of time to master. Disintegration is followed by Dissection. We then have Dogs on Duty here, followed by Dolmen. Dolmen's a game I actually do want to give a try at some point myself. Donut County, you're a hole, you eat all of the items. Followed by Doom and Doom Eternal. No Doom the Dark Ages just yet. Doom to Hell is followed by Double Pug Switch. Is followed by Downwell. You fall down a well. We then have the Dragon Age games here. Not the most recent one, which is about as surprising as me uploading a video. But you do have the 100% for 2 Inquisition and Origins, which is always nice to see because there are quite a lot of DLCs there, especially Inquisition. You have to do quite a lot of like semi playthroughs, partial playthroughs for some of those. So that's a nice one to see. Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen, one of my favorite games ever, fun fact. Absolutely fantastic RPG. Still need to get around to actually playing Dragon's Dogma 2. You think I'd be more excited to do that, but it's just bogged down in my never-ending backlog. Dreamel's Dream Quest is followed by Dreamfall Chapters. We then have Drowning, followed by Dungeon Peaks. Dying Light, I love this game. I actually just bought the PC version of this morning, so I'm looking forward to replaying this. Another one of my favorite games ever. I love Dying Light. Dying Reborn, mid sort of indie horror-y game. It's kind of nothing. It's followed by Earthlock. We then have Elden Ring's 100%. I am curious if you're planning on doing Night Rain, which I think came out like yesterday as of the upload of this video. We then have Endlings Extinction Forever. Fantastic little Fox game. If you sort of don't want to do the collectibles, our Lord and Savior OptiNoob has a fantastic guide on it. We then have Enslaved Odyssey to the West, one of the best PS3 games, I would say. Epic Dumpster Bear 1, 2, 1.5. Wow, there are more dumpster bears than I would have ever thought there would be. We then have Escape Dead Island, which is kind of the weird, like, I don't even know how to describe this one, but it's not good. Ether 1, fun, interesting indie game, followed by Evergate. Everybody's Gone to the Rapture is a really boring walking sim, but it does look pretty. We then have Everything, followed by Extinction. Falcon Age, Fall Guys Ultimate Knockout is followed by Fall of Light. Fallen Legion, The Flames of Rebellion, juicy ultra rare there at a 1.93%. We then have the Fallouts here with Fallout 3, 4, and New Vegas, all 100%ed, of course. Like I said, there's literally one game on this list that is not 100%ed, and by the time that I get through this recording, you might have even 100%ed it. I might even, if I remember, check that at the end of the recording. We then have only one Far Cry here, not a big Ubisoft guy, with Far Cry Primal, which I think Emerson's account last week was the same, Vern, where I think he also had one Far Cry and it was Primal. What is it about trophy hunters and cavemen? We then have Farming Simulator 15, followed by Faye. Fear Effect Sedna is followed by Feast. We then have Fire Girl Hack and Splash Rescue, followed by Flat Heroes. We've got a lot of Flat here, actually. Flat Heroes, Flatland Prologue, Volume 1, Volume 2, and then Flipping Death. We then have probably the most curious of the thumbnails so far in Flockers, which amazingly is an ultra rare. I have no idea what Flockers is, but I need that in my life. We then have Foreclosed, followed by Forgotten Anne. Former 8 is followed by Foul Play, Furwin, Furry Unleashed. That's not Furry Unleashed. That would be Fury Unleashed. Furry Unleashed would be a lot scarier and probably a lot more common. We then have Game of Thrones, which is the Telltale game, followed by Gauntlet, which is a really impressive ultra rare there. Another ultra rare that I find really impressive actually is Generation Zero. I am curious, Vern, and this is one that I do genuinely want to know. I think because I own it on Steam and PS. But is Generation Zero worth playing? It looks really interesting. It looks like something I'd like. Big open world game set in Sweden, I believe, in the 80s. So really cool setting. Robots taking over, got to fight back against the robots. Looks really cool. I don't know why I've never played it, so I'm curious if that one is worth sitting down and maybe doing like a video for it or something like that. Geometric Sniper is followed by Geometric Sniper Blood in Paris. Move over Hitman. We've now got Geometric Sniper. We then have Get Even, which is a game I've always been curious about, followed by Ghost of a Tale. I adored this game. In fact, that's another one I need to add to my Steam wishlist because I will absolutely do it again. Ghost of a Tale is kind of like, it's an RPG. You're a mouse set in a castle that has been besieged by rats, and you kind of need to get around in outfits and stuff without getting caught. Super interesting game. Really unique. The trophies are kind of tough. There's a lot of trophies for not getting caught and things like that, not ever being detected, which can be tricky, but this is a game I highly recommend. This is probably the game I recommend the most out of everything I've seen so far. I loved Ghost of a Tale so much. We then have Ghost Parade, followed by Ghost Runner. I love Ghost Runner. I just got the second one on Humble Bundle or something like that very recently, so I'm looking forward to giving that a try. We then have Ghoul Boy, followed by Ginger Beyond the Crystal, Goat Simulator, and then a whole lot of God of War here with God of War 2018, the original one, the second one, the third one remastered, Ascension Chains Olympus, and Ghosts of Sparta, which means you don't have Ragnarok, and I think that's all of them. You just don't have Ragnarok. We then have, let's have a look here, Gods Will Fall, followed by Going Under, Good Dog, Bad Dog with the weirdest thumbnail we've had since whatever the name of the last weird one was, Fluber or whatever. Grab the Bottle is followed by Grand Blue Fantasy Versus, A couple of Grand Theft Autos here with 3, 5 on the PS3, so kudos for getting that done before the servers shut. 27 unobtainable trophies, that hurts. We then have San Andreas and Vice City. Gravel is an off-road racing game, followed by the Gravity Rush games with Remastered and 2. One day I'll get into Gravity Rush, one day. I've only been promising it for 5 years now, I believe, but I do plan to. It's on the list, along with everything else. Greedfall, I had such a love-hate relationship with Greedfall for years. Finally got the Platinum last year, I believe. It's fun. It's a tricky Platinum if you're not following a guide, because there's a lot of very niche conversations you need to have in very specific sequences in order to pop some of those ending trophies, which eluded me for years, so it was nice to finally tick that off myself. I know the second one's come out, but I think they've completely redone the combat, and I think people aren't happy about it, so I guess I'll give that a try at some point. We then have Grey Skies. This is the sequel to the darker one that's name that escapes me that we saw earlier. This is the first game. It's fun, unique sort of War of the Worlds kind of setting where you're in London when the aliens invade. They're driving giant tripods. It's nothing terribly special, but it's charming in its own way. We then have Grid Legends, the only grid game of the list, followed by Grim Fandango. Gris is a really fun, like French artsy indie game. Grisland is followed by Guacamelee 1 and 2. Hades is here. This is the game that you are currently working on, like literally right now. When I updated your profile, you just earned a trophy. So I would find it hilarious if by the time I've done this recording, you've polished off those last 3 trophies. If not, I'm sure you'll get it done in the next couple of days, bringing your account back up to 100%. We then have Hard Reset Redux, followed by Hardware Rivals, which sadly is unobtainable now due to server closures. Headlander is next, followed by Heart and Slash. Heavenly Bodies is a PS Plus game, I believe. Heavy Rain, there's like 700 endings and a whole lot of Jason. We then have Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice. The sequel came out on Xbox last year, but I think the sequel is fairly mid. I know a whole lot of people, it kind of just came and went, like no one really cared too much. We then have Hellpoint, followed by Hitman Go, the sort of spin-off to the Hitman series. It does kind of make me sad that that's the only Hitman here, because some of the other ones, like Blood Money and Absolution even, I would highly recommend. I feel like you'd like them too, based on the style of games that you do play so far, Vern. We then have Hoa, which is a really fun little like indie platformer that doesn't take very long. I think the end of that game where it sort of then becomes inverted is a little bit bad though. We then have Hollow Knight, followed by Homefront The Revolution. I'm so tempted to do the 2 Homefront games on PC. You've got no idea how close I've come to doing both of them in recent days. It's just that multiplayer in the first game that is putting me off doing that. Horizon Chase Turbo is next, followed by Horizon Forbidden Dawn and Forbidden West. Kudos there. I know Forbidden West has some really annoying DLC trophies. We then have both Hotline Miamis. I actually bought the first Hotline Miami this morning as well. It's another game I'd like to sort of maybe do a video on at some point. Bringing the videos back in more force now that I'm back in Australia, sort of ready to go and quite excited to do so. Especially, I think I'm going to dabble more in shorts as well. I've not really done too much in the way of shorts, so I'm sort of looking forward to maybe giving that a crack. So if you've got ideas, hit me in the comments, of course. We then have How to Survive 2, followed by Hunted the Demon Reforged, Hunting Simulator, Hypnospace Outlaws, I Am the Hero, and Icewind Dale, which is a really beefy platinum right there. Eco is followed by Immortals Phoenix Rising, which was kind of a Zelda Breath of the Wild clone. Wasn't a massive fan of this one myself, especially the DLCs. That one DLC where it's all just like challenge maps and stuff, or challenge puzzles, I think it's called Another God or something, is absolutely terrible. In Sound Mind is a really fun indie horror game that kind of took me by surprise. Looking forward to redoing it soon. We then have Invert, followed by Indigo Prophecy, which is another sort of indie gem from back in the day. The infamous games here, we're only missing First Blood, but we do have 1, 2, First Light, and Second Sun. Infinite Runner is followed by Iron Fury, Jank Bank, and one of the funnest little indie games I've ever played, Jazzpunk, which is... I have no idea what's going on in Jazzpunk. Jazzpunk is an absolute trip. Jupiter Mars is followed by the Just Cause games with 2, 3, and 4, which again, absolute juggernaut games to get done here. Some of those DLC trophies are very annoying, and Just Cause 4, just as a whole, is very not good. We then have Killer is Dead, followed by Killing Floor 2. Always love to see Killing Floor 2. Always love to see that we're finally done with Killing Floor 2. No more trophies by the look of it, because as you can see here, the last one came out around October 2023. So we're safe by like a year and a half, I think. I think they are just focusing development on Killing Floor 3 at this point. We then have Kingdom Come with both games 100%ed. I love Kingdom Come Deliverance, one of my favorite games, again, of all time. I really, really want to play Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. I just know that my time is precious and I need to make videos with that time. We then have Kingdom New Lands and Two Crowns, really fun side-scrollers where you build up your kingdom and you defend it against monsters. Alrighty, we then move into Knack 1 and 2, which the first Knack is actually pretty grindy. I know that you've got to do kind of multiple playthroughs if your RNG is bad, looking for those chests. We then have Knee Deep, followed by Knight's Contact, or Contract rather, which is a juicy ultra rare. Kona was a fun sort of mystery game. You're kind of in an open world snowy area trying to work out how everyone froze. Kursk is followed by LA Noire, another Rockstar gem, although they published it. Deep Blue, I think, was the name of the developers that did it, or Bondi or something. They're Australian developers that wasted all their money. We then have LA Cops, followed by Lara Croft Go. This is made by the same people that did Hitman Go. League of Evil is followed by Left Alive, which sub 2% ultra rare right there. Legendary Fishing is followed by only one Lego game for this entire list, with Lego 2K Drive. Definitely an interesting Lego game to sort of kickstart that collection. Lichtenstein Battle Mage is a sub 1% ultra rare. That's real juicy. We then have all of the Life is Strange games, with Life is Strange, a glitch that doesn't exist, Life is Strange Before the Storm, and Life is Strange True Colors. True Colors will always be my favorite of those 4 games. We then have Lifeless Planet, followed by Lollipop Chainsaw Lone Survivor, which is a fun little like 2-bit horror game, or yeah, little like side-scrolly horror game. Lonely Mountains Downhill is followed by the original Lords of the Fallen, not to be mistaken by their most recent game, Lords of the Fallen. We then have Lost in Random, which is kind of like a dice-based Alice in Wonderland sort of thing, followed by Lost Sea, Lovers in a Dangerous Space-Time, the 100% for Mad Max, which I'm sure we're all jealous of. That is a 100% I'm sure we would all love. Although I guess on PC you could technically just pop the achievement if you wanted to. But on console, unobtainable, which does suck. We then have the Mafia trilogy here. Fantastic games. These are actually ones I'm working through myself at the moment. Classic on the original one is probably the hardest thing. Not massively difficult. I think I recently beat Mafia 1 Remastered again on PC. I'd done it on PS4 like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. And the classic race the first time's really hard. If you know what you're doing going in, I beat it in about an hour and a half, 2 hours this time. So not too bad. Definitely still very unfair. The key is to definitely ram when you go around corners. We then have Mafia 2. Mafia 2's base game is amazing. Mafia's 2 DLC are some of the worst DLC of all time. And then Mafia 3 is kind of just unfortunate. It's a really interesting story, really fun DLCs that are bogged down by really bad gameplay, especially in the main game where you sort of got to do a bunch of like boring tasks to then trigger the next main mission. It's kind of like, I just want to do the cool stuff, please. Man Eater is fun. You play as a shark and you eat everyone. Manuel Samuel is followed by Marquette, which is a fun puzzle game. Only the Marvel Spider-Man here is immediately backed up by, in my opinion, a much more interesting series of games in Mass Effect with all 4 games. It's nice to see Andromeda here, but it is bad to think that Andromeda exists. Masira is followed by Masters of Anima, Maxon, the Book of Chaos, Max the Curse of the Brother. These are sort of the same series. Medieval Remake, followed by 5 Metal Gear games here with Metal Gear Solid 2, 3, 4, and 5. No Ground Zeroes. That's interesting. I am curious to know why you've not knocked that one off necessarily when you have done the other available Platinums outside of the re-releases of the original games last year. We then have the Metro games with the first 2, Redux and Last Light. I love both of these games. 2033, definitely my favorite in the series by far, but all of the games, even Exodus, are really good. I'd say that all of them are worth a play. Miasma Chronicles is followed by both Shadow games in Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War. Always love to see these 100%. These are another series that I picked up myself very recently to go through. Mighty Switch Force Collection is followed by Minecraft. Minute's really fun. It's a shame that Minute Racing is not on console, I don't believe, because it's also really fun. But Minute's good fun. You got a minute to live. When you die, you go back to the start, but you retain everything that you now know. Really cool concept. Minoria is followed by Mirror's Edge, with both the first game and Catalyst. Catalyst obviously being unobtainable due to server closures. Monster Energy Supercross is followed by Monster Sanctuary, Moon Raider, and then Moonlighter. Moonlighter is fantastic. Really fun game, really fun kind of like gameplay relationship where by day you run a shop and that's sort of how you accumulate your wealth and stuff, and by night you go into dungeons to then get the items that you're going to need to stock your shop. It's a really cool gameplay loop, really fun game. The no-hit boss trophies though are genuinely actually pretty tough. Morbid the 7 Acolytes is followed by some Mortal Kombat. Mortal Shell, one of the in my opinion worse Dark Souls like Souls-likes. Mozart Requiem is followed by Mulaka, is followed by Murdered Soul Suspect. One of the most forgettable but also like not bad games I've ever played. It's a really weird combination. Mutant Year Zero, another really interesting kind of like XCOM-y sort of game. My Friend Pedro is followed by Narita Boy. Warhammer here with Necromunda Hired Gun. This is kind of like a Doom clone. I really liked Hired Gun. It's repetitive, the story's not massively special, but I enjoyed it for what it was, really, at the end of the day. We then have the Need for Speeds here with Heat, Payback, and Rivals. I love Need for Speed, so it's always nice to see their representations here. Neuro Voida is followed by Neverwinter Nights. Both Ni no Kuni games, these are kind of like Final Fantasy meets Pokemon. The opening of the first game, Wrath of the White Witch, is really dark. I'm not a big JRPG guy, but these are 2 games I would love to do at some point. I reckon they'd actually be really cool to do. Nier Automata is followed by Night in the Woods. We then have 9 Parchments, followed by Ninja Clash of Carrots. Both Neos are really cool to see here, especially the first one, because for the DLC you've got to do quite a lot of beating the game over and over again. No Man's Sky redeemed itself. It's actually a pretty fun game these days, followed by Null Drifter. Observer's a really fun Blooper Teams game. Probably my favorite Blooper Teams game. If you can find the Redux version of Observer, I highly recommend it, although the trophy guides will differ because some of the collectibles are in different locations between versions of the game, which, trust me, was really annoying. Oddworld here with Munch's Odyssey, new and tasty. Of Orcs and Men, Okage Shadow King is followed by Okami. We then have Onrush, which of course is unobtainable due to server closures. We have both Outcast games, which is a series that I've always thought looked kind of interesting. Third person over the shoulders, like action, exploration, shootery sort of things. You smash both of these out in a couple of days. Outer Wilds, fantastic game. Some people would say that they are some of the best games of all time. We then have Outward Definitive Edition, Overpass, Avivo, Owlboy, and Oxenfree here. Paper Beast is followed by Paradise Killer. The Perils of Baking, I'm now really curious what the Perils of Baking actually are. We then have the Phantom Doctrine, followed by both Pillars of Eternity games. These are massive, massive RPGs, so it is really, really cool to see both of these here. Pixel Junk Nom Nom Galaxy is followed by Pixel Junk Shooter. We then have Plague Inc. Evolved, which prior to 2020 was a really fun game where you sort of created your own virus or disease or something like that, and you kind of watched it inflict the rest of the world. Really unique game. That's another one I wouldn't mind playing again at some point. I might add that to my wish list too. Something I like about Vern's account here is pretty much every genre is being tackled right now. I think the only things we're not seeing too many of are like big multiplayer boosts, which I understand that. I try and avoid those myself. I don't find them particularly fun, but I do love that we've got some indies here. We've got some AAA games. We've got quite a lot of variety in terms of genres, like, you know, Planescape Torment, Plague Inc. Evolved, Planetscope Torment, Planet Coaster, back to back to back is such a wild swing, and I am so here for it. I love this account so far. Like, genuinely really like this. This is very much what I would like my Steam account to sort of turn out like at some point in the near future. We then have Planet Eyes, followed by Portal Knight, Postal Redux, like that again. Portal Knight's followed by Postal. Potato, followed by Prey. Absolutely underrated game by Arcane. Highly recommend this to anyone. I would love to see the original Prey get some love at some point, because it's a really, really fun game. I love that game. It'd be really cool to see it get a bit of love and light again at some point. Project Starship is followed by Psycho Pass, Psychonauts, and Puppeteer. Juicy ultra rare right there. Pyre is followed by Rad. We then have both Rage games. Wow. Okay, Rage is... I didn't hate the first Rage. I've never played the second one. I do need to. Those are two more games I should probably put on my wish list. We then have Rain World, which is a really awesome game. I also, again, another case of I love to see the DLC being done here because it's grindy. Rain World is a very unique game in that you have no idea what you're doing for 90% of the game, and everything can kill you, but it's its own like ecosystem. It's super, super interesting. I'd recommend, if you are curious, look into how the game actually works. Like there'll be videos on YouTube about like developer documentaries and how the mechanics actually work, because it is super, super interesting. We then have Rapala Fishing, both games, Pro Series and Bass Fishing, followed by only the 2016 remake of Ratchet and Clank. Raised is followed by Rebel Galaxy, Rebel Galaxy Outlaw, Red Death, Real Fishing. You're a fishing guy, I can appreciate it, love my fishing myself. Refunct is followed by Remember Me. The first Remnant Among the Ashes, no, the second one is not here, however. That Swamps of Corvus DLC though is really, really annoying. Reverie is followed by Res Infinite. We then have Riddled Corpses EX, followed by Rhyme, which is like an indie darling game to me. I always love this game. I always love the name of this platinum trophy being The End is the New Beginning. Such a cool little thing there. Rise of the Tomb Raider. This is the sequel of the reboots, which probably means we're going to see both of those in the near future. Rive is followed by Rocket League. We then have Rocket Birds 2, which is an interesting like side-scrolling little weird beat-em-up where you play as a bunch of birds that look like Marcus from Gears of War. We then have Rogue Aces followed by Rogue Galaxy. Roki is an interesting one. That's one that I was always curious about trying myself. Ruiner followed by the Saints Row series here with 4, Get Out of Hell, and the 3rd, and of course the 2022 game, which I still need to get round and play that one. I've heard nothing but terrible things, and I assume all of them are well deserved, but I definitely need to get round and give that one a go myself at some point. We then have the Salt games with Salt and Sacrifice and Salt and Sanctuary, both fantastic little games there. I do really like both of these as well. Sanity of Morris is followed by Sea of Solitude. Seasons After Fall is an interesting little side-scrolling platform game where you're sort of trying to save the forest and not save the spirits of the forest from corruption or something from memory. Secrets of Mana is followed by Sekiro. Still need to get around to Sekiro myself. Serial Cleaner looks really interesting to me. You're sort of a cleaner who's cleaning up after crime scenes. Severed Steel, followed by Shadows of Lootbox. Looks like a relatively easy, nice, short one. We then have Shadow of the Beast, followed by Shadow of Colossus, PS2 classic. Shadow of the Tomb Raider, I told you we'd said here, 100 trophies, and most of those are the DLCs. Thankfully for Shadow of the Tomb Raider, it's not like Rise of the Tomb Raider where the challenge maps are actually like challenging, and they got rid of that card system that it had. So most of these are actually pretty straightforward. We then have Shadows of the Dam followed by Shadwin. All 3 Shantae games here, which are really, really fun platformers. Shantae and the 7 Sirens, Half Genie Hero, and The Pirate's Curse. Shape of the World is followed by Sheltered, which does have some unobtainables, 2 unobtainable trophies right there. We then have some Shenmue with the entire trilogy here, which is always nice to see. Do love myself some series completions. Shyness, the Lightning Kingdom is followed by Shing. Shovel Knight Treasure Trove, juicy game right there, followed by Shu. Sinner Sacrifice for Redemption is followed by Skelly Celeste. Skull the Hero Slayer in 5 days. I am curious whether you did that one legit or if you use the developer menus there. Scully is followed by Slain, which I believe has an awesome soundtrack from memory. Slayway Camp, another fun sort of little indie horror game, followed by Sleeping Dogs, which is one of the most underrated like GTA clones ever. I love Sleeping Dogs. I really wish we'd seen more from that world. Slime Sound is another little platformer that's really annoying from memory, followed by Songbird Symphony, Songbringer, and then some Sonic in Sonic Forces. Soul Calibur is followed by Sound Shapes. We then have a bit of madness here with the Source of the Madness, followed by both South Parks with the Fractured But Whole and the Stick of Truth. Space Overlord, Sparklight, Spec Ops The Line's a really cool one to see here. Again, another tricky platinum trophy there with Fubar difficulty. Spiral Splatter is followed by Spirit Arena. We then have Spirit of the North, which is a little fox like collectathon sort of game. SpongeBob, this game still hurts me to this day when it glitched out for me when I was giving the last of the golden spatulas to Patrick, and I wasn't able to get the platinum as a result. Still a salty point for me to this very day. Spy Chameleon is followed by the Spyro trilogy, which is always really nice to see. Stab 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 is followed by a good chunk of Star Wars here. Jedi Outcast, The Fallen Order, both Force Unleashed games. I always love to see these. I actually love all 4 of those games. The Force Unleashed 2, definitely a downgrade from the first game, but it's still fun. It's still alright. Star Wars, a juicy ultra rare, just above a 1% completion there. We then have both SteamWorld Dig games, again 2 more juicy ultra rares. Stories The Path of Destinies are followed by Strider, Styx, Master of Shadows, and Shards of Darkness. I didn't know Masters of Shadows was so rare. I'm curious, Vern, what makes that one so much rarer. We then have Subnautica 1 and 2, followed by Suicide Guy, Summer in Mara, Sundered, Super Exploding Zoo, Super Skelemania, Super Time Force Ultra is a juicy ultra rare, Super Hot, not the VR version, but the regular version. We then have Mind Control Delete, followed by some tabletop racing, which has always been one of those racing games that's always looked really, really cool to me. Tales from the Borderlands, it's a Telltale game that's fairly mid from memory. Terrain Unfolded, followed by a lot of Tekken here, with 6, 7, 8, Tag Tournament, and Tag Tournament 2. Teslagrad is followed by a game I really, really liked in The Ascent. I genuinely really liked this game, actually. Fun little kind of like side-scrolly, like top-down RPG set in a cyberpunk sort of world. Really cool concept. I liked it. The DLC, though, that final boss in the DLC, he's not fun. The Bit Trip is followed by The Bureau, which was XCOM's weird, like, third-person Gears of War clone. I actually got that very recently myself. I do plan to do a video on this one. The Church in the Darkness is followed by The Council, which was a Telltale-y kind of game, but it was okay. The Council was okay. It kind of, the plot twist that it shows wasn't what I expected and wasn't as good as what I expected, if that makes sense. The Count of Lucanor is followed by The Darkness 2, amazing PS2 game. I really wish we'd see some sort of love for these games. Trophies for the first game would be fantastic. Love The Darkness. The Deadly Tower of Monsters is followed by The Deer God. We only have one Skyrim here with just the PS3 one. Didn't like Skyrim enough to do the other 17 versions I see. The Flame in the Flood is followed by The Gardens Between, which is a really fun indie puzzle game. Godfather 2, open world Godfather game. Hong Kong Massacre is one that's been on my list for a little while now to do. The King's Bird is followed by The Last Guardian, which is a juicy ultra rare. That one has some very annoying trophies and achievements to get right there. The Last Hero of Nostalgia is followed by The Last of Us and The Last of Us Part 2. The Long Reach is here as well, followed by The Messenger, which is a fun Metroidvania. The Moose Man is followed by The Mummy Demastered. I did not know that The Mummy, that like terrible movie, had a demaster. That is interesting to see right there. The Occupation is followed by The Outer Worlds, not to be mistaken with The Outer Wilds. It's a good game. I liked The Outer Worlds. That's one that I want to redo again at some point. The Persistence is followed by The Saboteur. I love The Saboteur. I absolutely adore this game. So it is really, really cool to see that represented here as well. The Savior's Gang is followed by The Sexy Brutale. That's another game I bought this morning, funny enough. I bought a stack of PC games. I bought like 12 games that I sort of want to cover most of those in videos. I want to get back to sort of really frequent videos and stuff again. And I think now that work is sort of settled back down and I'm not traveling, we should be able to sort of roll stuff back out, which I'm looking forward to. Maybe do some streaming again as well. The Sims 4 is followed by The Sinking City. I love The Sinking City. I absolutely adore that game. As you know, there's a 100% review on the channel for this one. Fantastic. It came out the same as Call of Duty, same time as we talked about before. This one's more sort of open worldy, and it's just really, really good. The Solus Project is followed by both of the Surges. I really need to play the Surge 2 at some point. I've heard really good things. I see a game that really interests me just below, actually. The Swords of Ditto is followed by the Talus Principle, is followed by the Techromancer. This is by Spiders, the devs that did Greedfall that we saw above. I always really liked Spiders. I find their games kind of janky, but there's a lot of charm. And the Technomancer is an RPG set on Mars, and it's a really cool concept. It's one that I definitely want to sit down with and actually sort of really flesh out and try and do that platinum, because it is kind of an annoying one. You can do it in one playthrough. It is kind of suggested you do, because the hard difficulty is fairly janky. But yeah, one that I definitely want to do at some point soon. We then have the Walking Dead games here, or the Telltale ones, with the first season, season 2, A New Frontier, and the final season on disc. Did not know there was a difference between the disc version and the digital version for that game, so that's interesting to see. We then have The Witcher 3, followed by The Witness, fun puzzle game. That final puzzle definitely gets a lot of people. The Wolf Among Us is followed by The Hunt Call of the Wild, which is another one of those games that's forever getting, oh, never mind, no, it's not, because you completed it in 2020. I was going to say it's forever getting DLCs. Maybe it is on PC. But this is just one of those like Cabela sort of hunting games. You set in a map, you go hunt for stuff. Thief is pretty mid. This War of Mine, The Little Ones, is followed by Thronebreaker, which is a super underrated Witcher game. I really like this game. It plays into Gwent very heavily. Really, really fun. Very, very good story in Thronebreaker. Titan Souls is kind of like a boss rush game, followed by Titanfall 2. This is another one I redid myself recently. I really like Titanfall 2. I think it's got one of the better campaigns in gaming, or in shooters. Become the Master is still bloody hard. I did it on PC like last week. It took like 3 hours, I want to say. 2-3 hours, something like that. It's tricky. I definitely think it's tricky, and I definitely pro tips like an hour into a video. But if you do this one, definitely get that ion cannon or whatever it's called that's hidden. Get that, it'll make your life easier if you are struggling with that particular trophy. We then have Tome is followed by quite a lot of Tomb Raider here, with Tomb Raider Anniversary Definitive, which is the 2013 game, Legend, and Underworld. I really enjoy the Tomb Raiders, so it is always nice to see these here. We then have Top Run, followed by Torment Tides of Numenera. Transformers Devastation is next, followed by Transistor. Trek to Yaoni is a really fun, like Seven Samurai style of game. Super, super cool. We had that as a Plat Club game quite a while ago, a couple of years ago now. We then have Trials of Mana, followed by Tribes of Midgard. Always like to see that game represented. We then have Trivial Pursuit, fun sort of like question quiz game, followed by Tron Evolution, Twin Mirror, Typo Man, Ultimate Fishing Simulator, and then we're going to get into some Uncharted here with Uncharted 2, 3, A Thieves End. Really cool to see that one, because Thieves End's DLC is miserable. Drake's Fortune and Uncharted The Lost Legacy, so it is cool to see all of them represented as well. We then have Under Hero, followed by Underland, Underland The Climb, Undermine, a lot of unders, Undertale, and we're going to unravel the under streak with the Unraveled games, Unravel 1 and Unravel 2. 2 being significantly rarer than 1 because of those trophies where you've got to get through levels without dying, which is very much easier said than done with that game. We then have Until Dawn, fantastic indie horror game, followed by Valley, then Brace the Cold Sore. It feels weird not to suggest things that you go back and clean up. I feel like half of my job has been taken from me. I think that, Vern, you really need to clean up Hades. But we then have Vampire here. I love Vampire. I really, really love Vampire. Such a fantastic little like indie RPG. Followed by Virginia, which is kind of like a Telltale clone. I found that one pretty rough to get through, but they're not my style of game personally. Void Bastards is followed by Volume. We then have both Wasteland games that are on the PlayStation. I love both of these games as well, turn-based TRPGs. Really, really fun ones, and really, really fun trophy lists, especially the third game. I got the third game recently, and I'm looking forward to doing it as well. We Happy Few, one of those games where I remember all of the trailers and all of the hype for it, and then it just sort of came and went, I guess. Welcome to Hanwell is followed by West of Dead. It's followed by Wet, which is a really fun PS3 game. Wildcat Gun Machines, Wildfire, Witchcrafty, Wizards of Legends. The first 2 Wolfensteins here. We don't have New Colossus. I'm curious if you are planning on doing it at some point, Vern. Wreckfest, I love Wreckfest. Such a good soundtrack. I actually had that soundtrack on the other day when I went for a walk. Wukong is followed by Xenon Valkyrie. It's followed by 13, which 13's another one of those shooters where I've got a soft spot for it. Came out on the original Xbox from memory, and it was really good. Ukulele is followed by Ukulele in the Impossible Lair. Ziggurat, Zombie, Zombie Army Trilogy. I love Zombie and Zombie Army Trilogy. Zombie probably could have done a bit more and really didn't need 3 playthroughs. Zombie Army Trilogy is fantastic. Get the 4th one done as well, Vern, because it builds on what Trilogy did and is a lot of fun. We're rounding off the list with an ultra rare platinum in Zombie Vikings. Vern, thank you so much for letting me look through your list. This is up there for one of the best lists I've seen, I would say. I think it has been a long time coming getting this review done. Well deserved, fantastic account. We'll definitely bring the ratings back on YouTube, so get ready to poll what you think this account sits at. If you made it this far, of course, and you want your own list done, let me know in the comments or join the Hunters Haven Discord. We have a submission sheet there and you can see where you are on the list and all that sort of fun, good stuff. If you made it this far in the video, thank you so much. Hopefully, Sick Sim's voice wasn't too bad. It didn't jump around too much. If you made it this far, let me know what you were up to this weekend. What are you playing? And I'll see you in the next video, which will be coming very soon. I miss you already. Goodbye.